Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head across the water to Denmark once again, and we're going to have a taste of my first beer from a brewery that I've heard some very good things about. In fact, it's a brewery that I've been meaning to get around to for quite a little while actually. So for the first time we are going to go to Bad Seed Brewing, and we're going to have a taste of a new version of one of their quite famous beers. This one is the barrel-aged version of the Good Morning Vietnam. It's a sweet coffee stout apparently, coming in at 8.3% ABV. So it should be a really nice one, this. I've heard really good things about the original, and I saw this one when I was in Kiosk in Copenhagen. I've been getting very into my coffee stouts recently, and I kind of just thought, well, it's a brewery I've wanted to try for quite a long time. It's a style that I'm really enjoying. Why the hell not? So really looking forward to trying this one, and as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Bad Seed Brewing. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Bad Seed Brewing then. So Bad Seed Brewing were founded back in 2015 by Fredrik Hector Schmidt. But he'd been working in a beer store in Ålborg, which was called Ölkonsortiet, which did become quite well known for a while. But he became very good friends with a guy in there that homebrewed, and later he began to join in. But he continued to experiment, and then they joined a homebrewing community together, and this just kept going up and up and up and up and up and up. But later he moved to Copenhagen, and he took an internship at Nørrebro Bryghus, who are fairly well known, and he worked for a few other breweries before starting up Bad Seed Brewing for himself, so that he could do his own thing completely. But he started brewing at Chocolatey, which is up in Jylland, so just a little bit to the north of Copenhagen itself. But this was initially as a phantom or gypsy brewery, I guess you could say, and his first beer that he released was the Lazarus IPA. But he was also working as a bar manager for Brewers Inc. at this time, and now they actually have their own brewery very close to Ålborg on Jylland, which is the mainland part of Denmark that is attached to Germany. But they began production there in October 2018, and as of April 2019 they've produced around 40 different types of beer, and they are starting to get their beers out there a little bit more as well. So hopefully the next time I go over to Copenhagen I will see some of the other beers from Bad Seed Brewing. But like I said, this is another one of the breweries that I've heard some very good things about. And you know, I've reviewed about 150 or so Danish beers for you on the channel, so it's really cool to finally get around to reviewing something from these guys, because like I said, I'd heard some very good things, but in Kiosk they were telling me they hadn't had anything in from Bad Seed for a little while, but they were hoping to get some of the stuff now that they've got another brewery set up. So yeah, onwards and upwards I guess you could say for Bad Seed Brewing. Very highly regarded in Denmark, of course, so quite exciting actually to try a special version of one of their most popular beers. The original Good Morning Vietnam is very highly regarded. I think it has a 98 overall on Rate Beer and a 99 within the style, and it's rated well into the 4 stars if you have a little look at it on Untappd as well. So yeah, as I say, really nice brewery. If you get the chance to try some of their beers, I highly recommend that you do, because the guys in Kiosk have told me this is a good brewery, and they never seem to point me in the direction of a bad beer over there. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Bad Seed Brewing for the moment. If you want to learn a little bit more, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can follow them on Facebook and Untappd and Instagram and all of these kind of things, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on at the brewery. So yeah, we can get rid of the brewery notes now and get on to the actual tasting of the beer. So this one is basically a stout beer, a sweet stout. They use lactose in the brew of this one, and they age it on Vietnamese coffee apparently, and hence the name Good Morning Vietnam. But apparently Frederick spent a good bit of time in Vietnam and was always just blown away by how beautiful it was in the morning there, and that was where this beer comes from. But he says on the side here, you're holding in your hand the barrel-aged version of our popular Good Morning Vietnam, a rich and luscious stout brewed with Vietnamese coffee and lactose that was set to rest in Stauning whisky barrels for 5 months. The barrel imparts delicious notes of toasted oak, vanilla and coconut to the already decadent Good Morning Vietnam. Drink fresh and enjoy the intensity of the whisky barrels or age for up to 3 years. But yeah, it says the best before date on here is the 1st of March 2021, so I'm guessing that this beer was released sometime in March 2018, so I'm drinking it when it is about a year old, so it will have smoothed out really nicely, I would think. But yeah, it should be a really interesting one, this. But I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one. I'm probably going to keep this bottle, to be honest with you, because as I say, this is quite a popular beer and it's supposed to be pretty damn awesome. There you can see the Bad Seed Brewery symbol there, just trying to hold that steady for you. Nothing on the bottle cap, just a plain crown, and there is the little bit of text that I was reading out to you just a minute ago. But yeah, without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. I'm really curious to see how this one turns out. Actually, a mix of a sweet stout and a coffee stout. I think this will be really, really good actually. Oh, and you can smell that as soon as you open it up. This is going to be a monster of a beer, I think. Yeah, just look at that. I don't want to waste any of this, you know, me being Scottish, we don't like to waste good alcohol. There you go. Yeah, so as you can see, and as you would expect with this beer being a stout, it's not quite an imperial stout, I don't think. You know, 8.3%, not quite an imperial stout yet. But yeah, as you can see and as you would expect from this beer, it's poured a lovely dark ebony rosewood colour. There's a solid half finger of a frothy, I would say, almost like mocha coloured head with this one actually. It's a nice kind of almost cappuccino mocha coloured head on that one, a nice lovely medium beige colour there. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there, but you know, overall it looks very, very nice. So yeah, nothing particularly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance when you consider that it is a coffee stout. So let's take a closer look at that aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. I got a little whiff of it earlier and I can tell you that it's going to be an absolute monster. Oh, yeah. The aroma of this beer is ridiculous, let's just say that. Yeah. You know, I've said this in a good few of the coffee stouts that I've reviewed recently. You know, I've been reviewing some really good ones from Digus Brewery here in Sweden. They are one of the best coffee stout producers I've come across in the world, actually. But you know, the thing that amazes me about coffee beans is it's one of these adjuncts that you can add to the beer that really just gives a ridiculous level of complexity, and you can really smell that straight away with this one. And the thing that strikes me about this beer is that it smells ridiculously smooth. The coffee in here smells really, it smells very fruity, it almost smells quite cakey. This beer generally, it smells like a big alcoholic fruit cake, if that makes sense, like a very dark rum cake or something like that. It really has that lovely big cakey note to it. You can smell some of these lovely coffee smoothness to the beer. You can smell some of that toasty edge to it. It's got a little bit of the earthiness that you would expect, but to me the coffee aromas coming out of this one are almost quite cakey. They smell quite sweet actually, but there's a good level of fruitiness to it also. It's got a good little bit of a red fruity character, the coffee note in this one, and it's always interesting because some of them can be very floral and aromatic and give you an almost citrusy note, but to me the coffee beans that they've used in here are definitely giving the aroma of a nice kind of reddish fruity quality, like a sort of dark raisin or something like that. Actually, the aroma of this beer is absolutely beautiful, so if you get the chance to have a go at this beer, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma, because it really is ridiculous. This is one of the nicest aromas I've come across in my 1600 now beer videos. This is a beautiful beer. Yeah, that's lovely. It really is very, very nice. Yeah, so in addition to all the stuff you're getting from the coffee bean, you can pick up that there's a nice chocolatey edge to this beer. It does have a little bit of the darker, higher cocoa content notes to it. On top of that though, you can also get the sort of more milky, lactosey chocolatey notes coming out of this beer, which is which is very, very nice. So I really like how that's kind of blending together. There is an element of brown sugar in here as well. You can definitely pick up a little bit of a kind of how do you say, like a sort of treacly, molassesy type sweetness to the beer. Definitely some woody notes as well, which will be from the barrel aging. Some nice vanilla qualities as well. And that's the thing is, with a lot of these beers, the coffee beans can really dominate. But in this one, I'm finding that you are getting all the malty parts out of the beer, but the coffee beans are just adding like a real kind of depth and complexity to it. Actually, they're not kind of coming out and being really overpowering and taking over the aroma of the beer as they can sometimes do. They're just kind of mixing in with everything else and just adding a little bit more complexity to it. So it's really nice actually how everything goes together in this one. I really like what the deal with this beer is. On the hoppy side of things, you get a little bit of earthiness in there. There is an element, a small element of a floral and grassy note to the beer, and like I say, you've got a good fruity character to this one. It's almost like a kind of figgy jam note, a little bit of a, you know, you have got a little bit of a kind of raisiny sharpness to it. There's a little bit of juicy plum in there as well. It's a really nice aroma, this beer. It's definitely one of the more complex ones that I've come across in recent times, so it's one of these ones that you just have to take a little bit of time with and just enjoy. So I really recommend that you do that with this beer if you get the chance. But let's have a little taste of this one then and just see how we get on. This one is the barrel-aged version of the Good Morning Vietnam from Bad Seed Brewing, just outside of Ålborg in Jylland in Denmark, although I should say that this particular one was brewed at Chocolatey in Jylland, just outside of Copenhagen. Let's get stuck into this beer then. Slange, skål. Ooh. That's really nice. That's a really awesome beer, that I have to say. I mean, it would be nice to try the original as well, right enough, so that's one that I'll definitely keep an eye out for. But as it stands, this is a lovely beer, this one. So big thumbs up to the guys at Bad Seed Brewing for this. You know, they've done a really nice job of that. And this one's a really interesting hybrid. It really has that kind of balance between being a sweet stout and being a coffee stout. They've really got that balance in this beer very nicely. Yeah, it's a lovely. Everything goes together in this beer really well, and it actually plays out just like the just like the aroma kind of suggests it might. Everything. It's one of these beers where there's so many complexities to it. Everything just blends together and just mushes together very, very nicely, and you see the different parts of the flavour coming out on different parts of your palate. So yeah, let's just focus on that for the moment then. So with this beer, you can feel there is a little bit of a roasty, toasty black malt backbone to this one. It starts to come out the further you go into the aftertaste. On top of that though, you can feel, in the beginning, you can really feel the chocolatey malts in this beer and some of the brown sugars as well. They just smooth out the, they really do start to smooth the beer out a little bit. Towards the front of the palate, you can definitely feel the lactosey side of the beer too. The chocolatey notes, they're a bit more dark, more high cocoa chocolate, like this sort of 70, 80, 90% cocoa towards the back of the tongue. But as you come further forward, the more the lactose that's in there comes out, and that gives the impression of a more kind of milky chocolate towards the front of the palate, and you're also getting more of the kind of woody notes out of this beer as well. And if you go to the very centre of your palate and come forward, you get a nice almost nutty flavour coming out of the beer as well, which is really nice, which is really interesting. But yeah, there's a hell of a lot going on in the flavour of this beer. The coffee beans, of course, we need to, when it's a coffee stout, a sweet coffee stout, we need to talk about that as well. The coffee beans are really nice. They just almost sit on top of everything else and just give the beer this really quite infused flavour actually. You can really feel the coffee beans, the smoothness from that just sits on top of the palate and just goes right across the middle of your tongue. The coffee does have a little bit of a roasty edge to it, but it's also got a nice kind of earthiness. But the further forward on the palate, it starts to give you the nice fruity notes. The coffee side of this beer really has like a sort of, it's not quite sharp enough to be raisins, it's like an almost, is it maybe sultanas? It's got like an almost dried, figgy, datey, pruny type quality to it, this beer. The fruity notes that you get out of the coffee in this one are really, really nice actually. And the further you go into the aftertaste, you can feel some of the roasty black malts pushing their way out a little bit. This beer, the middle of the palate in this one does dry out a little bit the further you go into the aftertaste, and you can feel the roasty black malts just pushing their way up out of this one. But you've also got the smoothness of the coffee just lingering there too. It's a really complex beer, this one, and I'm guessing the barrel aging and also the fact I've had it, this one's been sat in the bottle for about a year now as well, and that's really smoothed this one out quite nicely. I'd like to try a fresh version of the original one. That would be something to do in the future actually. But you know, this beer as it stands is really, really nice. This one, it's very different actually from the ones I've had from Dougus in recent times. This is one of the smoother and more oily coffee stouts that I've had. I mean, it's only 8.3%. To have a beer of this alcohol content, which is quite low for a stout to be honest, or a barrel aged stout at that especially, to have this level of complexity in a beer like that is really pretty damn good, I have to say. If you go to the very centre of your palate, you can feel some of the brown sugar notes. There is a little bit of a caramelly, a toasty caramelly note in the very centre of your palate with this one, and that's covering up the boozy aspects of the beer, which is really quite nice. On the hoppy side of things, this beer is pretty much what you'd expect. Back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little touch of earthiness there. That does give the beer a little bit of dryness right enough. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, that just smooths out a little bit. You get a little touch of a floral aromaticity towards the front corners of the palate too. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say. But that's the hops have dropped quite a bit in this one, obviously, with it being barrel aged and with it being, and with it also being, how do you say, in the bottle for a year as well. The hops just add a nice kind of smoothness to it. The IBUs of this beer would be quite interesting too. I think we're talking about maybe 50, 60 IBUs for this beer at most. The hops contribute a little bit, but the malting, the black malts and the coffee are also contributing a bit too. But this isn't one of the drier coffee stouts you're going to come across. The real focus of this one for me is the blend of sweetness and also the smoothness that this beer has. Behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get this nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. Yeah, I like that. I really do like this beer. Certainly not going to hesitate to drink this one as well. I was quite lucky to get that. I think this was one of the last 1 or 2 bottles that they had in Kiosk actually. But yeah, this beer, the fruity side of it, it does have a little bit of a, as I say, that sort of datey, pruny sort of flavour that you're getting from the fruity side of the beer. There is a little bit of a figgy note towards the front of the palate too, and the further that you go into the aftertaste with this, it does evolve to be a little bit of an almost black curranty, blackberry type flavour as well. So the complexity that you have on the fruity side of this beer is also really quite nice. As I say, this is just a beautiful beer at 8.3%. The level of complexity that this one has is a bit ridiculous as well. But yeah, this has been really special to review this one actually. I'd like to try the original and just see what it's like. I'm not a great fan of trying the barrel aged versions of beer first. I do like to try the originals, but to me this is a really solid beer, this one, so I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink more from Bad Seed Brewing. Hopefully I can try one of their IPAs. As I always say, you want to try something from the light side of the spectrum when you're trying a brewery for the first time, but they seem to have a really good knack for the dark side of the spectrum too. In terms of the mouthfeel then, this beer, I'd say full-bodied, bottom end of full-bodied. Carbonation's very smooth, nice big oily mouthfeel on this one. I think it's fair to say that about this beer. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness. I'd say you're talking about 40, 50, probably 50 IBUs, maybe a 60 at a push from this one. That's been contributed to by the coffee, the malt, and a little bit of the hops. Really lovely complexity to the malt base in this one, the coffee contributing to that as well. It's the focus of the malt base for me. It's got a really good balance between smoothness and sweetness, but it does have a little subtlety, a roasty, toasty quality to it as well. And you've got a nice fruity note on the end of this beer as well. But overall, really, really nice beer, this one, and I'm very glad that I was able to review it for you here on the channel. So let's leave it at that just now. Just a lovely beer, the barrel aged Good Morning Vietnam from Bad Seed Brewing, just outside of Ålborg, over in on Jylland in Denmark. A beautiful beer, this, and I'm very curious to try more from this brewery. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Bad Seed Brewing as well, and we will definitely be returning to this brewery at some point in the near future. Thank you again for watching. Make sure you check out my social media, and I will catch you guys very soon. The barrel aged Good Morning Vietnam, a coffee stout based on a Vietnamese iced coffee, from Bad Seed Brewing outside of Ålborg in Jylland in Denmark. Until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, skål, try this beer.